knowledge of God, and in his understanding of the earth. And you said, Speak to us of friendship. And he answered, saying, Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. And he is your board and your fireside. For you come to him with your hunger, and you seek him for peace. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the a. And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart. For without words, in friendship, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared, with joy that is unattained. When you part from your friend, you grieve not. For that which you love most in him may be clear in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plain. 66. And let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love, but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. And let your best be for your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know its flood also. For what is your friend that you should seek him with hours to kill? Seek him always with hours to live. For it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship let there be laughter, and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. And then a scholar said, Speak of talking. And he answered, saying, You talk when you cease to be at peace with your thoughts. And when you can no longer dwell in the solitude of your heart, you live in your lips, and sound is a diversion and a pastime. And in much of your talking, thinking is half murdered. For thought is a bird of space, that in a cage of words may indeed unfold its wings, but cannot fly. There are those among you seek the talkative through fear of being alone. The silence of aloneness reveals to their eyes their naked selves, and they would escape. And there are those who talk, and with though. 68. Out knowledge or forethought reveal a truth which they themselves do not understand. And there are those who have the truth within them, but they tell it not in words. In the bosom of such as these the spirit dwells in rhythmic silence. When you meet your friend on the roadside or in the marketplace, let the spirit in you move your lips and direct Series 7-8 greater sign your tongue. Let the voice within your voice speak to the ear of his ear. For his soul will keep the truth of your heart as the taste of the wine is remembered, when the collar is forgotten and the vessel is no more. 69. And an astronomer said, Master, what of time? And he answered, You would measure time the measureless and the immeasurable. You would adjust your conduct and even direct the course of your spirit according to hours and seasons. Of time you would make a stream upon whose bank you would sit and watch its flowing. Yet the timeless in you is aware of life's timelessness, and knows that yesterday is but today's memory and tomorrow is today's dream, and that which sings and contemplates in you is still dwelling within the bounds of that first moment which scattered the stars into space. 70. Who among you does not feel that his power to love is boundless? And yet who does not feel that very love, though boundless, encompassed within the center of his being, and moving not from love thought to love thought, nor from love deeds to other love deeds? And is not time even as love is, undivided and paceless? But if your thought you must measure time into seasons, let each season 080904 1132 greater the sign and circle all the other seasons. And let today embrace the past with remembrance and the future with longing. 71. And one of the elders of the city said, Speak to us of good and evil. And he answered, Of the good in you I can speak, but not of the evil. For what is evil, but good tortured by its own hunger and thirst? Verily when good 1 second hungry it seeks food even in dark eves, and when it thirsts it drinks even of dead waters. You are good when you are one with yourself. Yet when you are not one with yourself you are not evil. For a divided house is not a den of thieves, it is only a divided house. And a ship without rudder may wander aimlessly among perilous isles yet sink not to the bottom. 72. You are good when you strive to give of yourself. Yet you are not evil when you seek gain for yourself. For when you strive for gain you are but a root that clings to the earth and sucks at her breast. Surely the fruit cannot say to the root, be like me, ripe and full and ever giving of your abundance. For to the fruit giving is a need, as receiving is a need to the root. You are good when you are fully awake in your speech. Yet you are not evil when you sleep while your tongue staggers without purpose. And even stumbling speech may strengthen a weak tongue. You are good when you walk to your goal firmly and with bold steps. Yet you are not evil when you go thither limping. 73. Even those who limp go not backward. But you who are strong and swift, see that you do not limp before the lame, deeming it kindness. You are good in countless ways, and you are not evil when you are not good. You are only loitering and sluggard. Pity that the stags cannot teach swiftness to the turtles. In your longing for your joint self lies your goodness, and that longing is in all of you. But in some of you that long in 1 second a torrent rushing with might to the sea, carrying the secrets of the hillsides, and the songs of the forest. And in others it is a flat stream, that loses itself in angles and bends, and lingers before it reaches the shore. But let not him who longs much say to 74. Him who longs little, wherefore are you slow and halting? For the truly good ask not the naked, where is your garment? Nor the whole useless, what has befallen your house? 75. Then a minister said, speak to us of prayer. And he answered saying, you pray in your distress and in your need. Would that you might pray also in the fullness of your joy and in your days of abundance. For what is prayer, but the expansion of yourself into the living ether? And if it is for your comfort to pour your darkness into space, it is also for your delight to pour forth the dawning of your heart. And if you cannot but weep when your soul summons you to prayer, she should spare you again, and yet again, though weeping, until you shall come laughing. When you pray you rise to meet in the air those who are praying at that very 76 hour, and whom save in prayer you may not meet. Therefore let your visit to that temple invisible be for naught but Thessie and sweet communion. For if you should enter the temple for no other purpose than asking you shall not receive. And if you should enter into it to humble yourself you shall not be lifted. Or even if you should enter into it to beg for the good of others you shall not be heard. It is enough that you enter the temple invisible. I cannot teach you how to pray and words. God listens not to your words save when he himself utters them through your lips. And I cannot teach you the prayer of the seas and the forest and the mountains. 77. But you who are born of the mountains and the forests and the seas can find the hour of prayer in your heart. And if ye but listen in the stillness of the night you shall hear them saying in silence, our God, who art our wind self, it is thy will in us that willeth. It is thy desire in us that desireth. It is thy urge in us that would turn our nights, which are thine, into days, which are thine also. We cannot ask thee for aught, for thou knowest our needs before thou art born in us. Thou art our need, and in giving us more of thyself thou givest us all. Then a hermit, who visited the city once a year, came forth and said, speak to us of pleasure. And he answered, saying, pleasure is a freedom song, but it is not freedom. It is the blossoming of your desires, but it is not their fruit. It is a depth calling unto a height, but it is not the deep nor the high. It is the cage taking wing, but it is not space encompassed. In very truth, pleasure is a freedom song. And I fain would have you sing it with fullness of heart, yet I will not have you lose your hearts in the singing. Some of your youth seek pleasure as if it were all, and they are judged and rebuked. 79. I would not judge nor rebuke them. I would have them seek. For they shall find pleasure, but not her alone. 7 are her sisters, and the least of them is more beautiful than pleasure. Have you not heard of the man who was digging in the earth for roots and found a treasure? And some of your elders remember pleasures with regret like wrongs committed in drunkenness. But regret is the beclouding of the mind and not its chastisement. They should remember their pleasures with gratitude, as they would the harvest of a summer. Yet if it comforts them to regret, let them be comforted. And there art among you those who are neither young to seek nor to remember. And in their fear of seeking and re-80, remembering they shun all pleasures, lest they neglect the spirit or offend against it. But even in their foregoing is their pleasure. And thus they too find a treasure though they dig for roots with quivering hands. But tell me, who is he that can offend the spirit? Sure the nightingale offend the stillness of the night, or the firefly the stars? And sure your flame or your smoke burden the wind? Think you the spirit is a still pool which you can trouble with a staff? Oftentimes in denying yourself pleasure you do, but store the desire in the recesses of your being. Who knows, but that which seems omitted today, waits for tomorrow. Even your body knows its heritage, and its rightful need, and will not be deceived. And your body is the harp of your soul, and it is yours to bring forth 81. Sweet music from it or confused sounds. And now you ask in your heart, how shall we distinguish that which is good in pleasure from that which is not good? Go to your fields and your gardens, and you shall learn that it is the pleasure of the bee to gather honey of the flower. But it is also the pleasure of the flower to yield its honey to the bee. For to the bee a flower is a fountain of life, and to the flower bee is a messenger of love. And to both bee and flower, the giving and the receiving of pleasure is a need and an ecstasy. People of Orphalese, be in your pleasures like the flowers and the bees. And a poet said, speak to us of beauty. And he answered, where shall you seek beauty, and how shall you find her unless she herself be your way and your guide? And how shall you speak of her except she be the weaver of your speech? The aggrieved and the injured say, beauty is kind and gentle. Like a young mother half shy of her own glory she walks among us. And the passionate say, nay, beauty is a thing of might and dread. Like the tempest she shakes the earth beneath us, and the sky above us. The tired and the weary say, beauty is of soft whisperings, she speaks in our spononoton. Her voice yields to our silences like a faint light that quivers in fear of the shadow. But the restless say, we have heard her shouting among the mountains. And with her cries came the sound of hoofs, and the beating of wings, and the roaring of lions. At night the watchmen of the city say, beauty shall rise with the dawn from the east. And at noontide the toilers, and the wayfarers say, we have seen her leaning over the earth from the windows of the sunset. In winter say the snowbound, she shall come with the spring leaping up on the hills. And in the summer heat the reapers say, we have seen her dancing with the autumn leaves, and we saw a drift of snow in her hair. All these things have you said of beauty. Yet in truth you spoke not of her, but of needs unsatisfied. And beauty is not a need but an ecstasy. It is not a mouth thirsting nor an empty hand stretched forth, but rather a heart inflamed and a soul enchanted. It is not the image you would see nor the song you would hear, but rather an image you see though you close your eyes, and a song you hear though you shut your ears. It is not the sap within the furrowed bark, nor wing attached to a claw, but rather a garden forever in bloom, and a flock of angels forever in flight. People of Orphalese, beauty is life when life unveils her holy face. But you are life and you are the veil. 85. Beauty is eternity gazing at itself in a mirror. But you are eternity and you are the mirror. 86. And an old prior said, speak to us of religion. And he said, have I spoken this day of aught else? Is not religion all deeds and all reflection? And that which is neither deed nor reflection, but a wonder and a surprise ever springing in the soul, even while the hands hew the stone, or tend the loom. Who can separate his faith from his act in nanoseconds, or eyes believe from his occupations? Who can spread his hours before him, saying, this for God and this for myself, this for my soul, and this other for my body? All your hours are wings that beat through space from self to self. He who wears his morality, but as his best garment were better naked. The wind and the sun will tear no holes in his skin. And he who defines his conduct by ethics imprisons his songbird in a cage. The free song comes not through bars and wires. And he to whom worshipping is a window, to open but also to shut, has not yet visited the house of his soul whose windows are from dawn to dawn. Your daily life is your temple and your religion. Whenever you enter into it, take with you your all. Take the plough and the forge and the mallet and the lute, the things you have fashioned in necessity or for delight. For in reverie you cannot rise above your achievements nor fall lower than your failures. And take with you all men. 88. For in adoration you cannot fly higher than their hopes nor humble yourself lower than their despair. And if you would know God, be not the ref or a solver of riddles. Rather look about you, and you shall see him playing with your children. And look into space, you shall see him walking in the cloud, outstretching his arms in the lightning and descending in Ram. You shall see him smiling in flowers, then rising and waving his hands in trees.